You use it every day, but have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is it really for? The world is full of unknown things that go unnoticed and, believe me, many of them could make your life easier if you knew how to use them correctly. For example, did you know that there is a right way to take out a tic-tac without wasting it? Or that the little hole in the ruler is not just there for aesthetics? Small details hide brilliant functions, and many people never notice. Get ready to see common objects in a whole new way. After this, I doubt you will use these things the same way. Just imagine, you're at the supermarket, your cart is full, but you still need to grab those bags with delicate items. Most people don't realize it, but shopping carts have small metal handles strategically positioned at the top. They're not there for nothing. They're used to hang bags with eggs, fragile fruits, or even that warm bread, preventing them from getting squeezed between heavier products. It may seem like a silly detail, but it can save your shopping from a real disaster. And that's not all. These handles also help optimize the space in your cart. Anyone who has ever shopped for large items knows the chaos of trying to balance boxes, baby bottles, and bulky packages. By using these handles, you gain an extra compartment without having to throw everything haphazardly. Imagine a mother trying to organize diapers, powdered milk, and cookies without everything getting mixed up. Here's the solution. Something so simple and so little used, but that makes all the difference in organization. Now, the question is, how many times have you ignored this little feature without realizing its real purpose? Well, there are a lot of things in this world that we use without ever questioning what they are really for. Speaking of which, have you ever stopped to think about the correct way to use those seat covers in the public bathroom? Most people put them on the wrong way without even realizing it. If there's one thing few people pay attention to, it's the correct way to use a seat protector in a public bathroom. Most people simply place it on the toilet and that's it, without realizing a crucial detail. That flap that faces inwards on the toilet bowl has a purpose. By leaving it facing inwards, it prevents the protector from sliding or moving when you sit down. This means more protection and less contact with questionable surfaces. After all, no one wants unpleasant surprises when using a public bathroom, right? But there's more. This flap also makes it easier to dispose of the protector. When you flush, the force of the water automatically pulls the paper out, without having to touch it. This avoids that embarrassing moment when the protector gets stuck in the toilet bowl and you have to decide whether to leave it there or try to remove it with your hands, which, let's face it, no one wants to do. Small details like this make all the difference in hygiene and practicality in everyday life. It's interesting how certain objects have a purpose that we never imagined, isn't it? Speaking of details that go unnoticed, have you ever noticed the little lines on the F and J keys on your keyboard? They are there for a very interesting reason and, if you type without looking, you must have noticed how they can make your life easier. If you've ever run your fingers across a keyboard without looking, you've probably felt two small bumps on the F and J keys. They're there for a brilliant reason, to help you position your hands correctly without having to take your eyes off the screen. It's a simple trick, but essential for anyone who wants to type quickly and accurately. These little marks indicate the so-called base position, where your index fingers should be. From there, your other fingers know exactly where each key is, without having to hunt down each letter. Think of great typists, programmers, or writers who need to work without wasting time looking at the keyboard. This detail, invisible to many, makes all the difference in performance. If you've ever tried to improve your typing speed, a good tip is to start by placing your index fingers on the F and J keys and leaving your other fingers naturally on the keys next to them. There are even websites and apps that help you practice this skill, like 10 Fast Fingers or Typing Club. It's interesting how some details go unnoticed, right? Now that you know this, try to notice it the next time you use a keyboard. But speaking of things that many people use without knowing what they are for, what about that little hole in the ruler? Yes, it has a much greater use than it seems. You know that little hole that has always been in your ruler, but you never gave it much thought? Well, it's not just there for aesthetics. In fact, it has two very practical functions. The first is the most obvious. It allows the ruler to be hung, whether on a bulletin board, or even on the wall of your study desk. This prevents it from being thrown in a drawer, lost among pencils and erasers. But the second function is even more interesting and very few people use it. It can be used to draw perfect circles, working as an improvised compass. If you want to try it, just put the tip of the pencil inside the hole and hold one end of the ruler fixed to the paper. Then, just rotate the pencil around the central point. The result: a well-drawn circle without needing a compass. This trick is great for students, designers, or anyone who needs to make a quick and symmetrical circle without resorting to specific tools. Let's be honest, it's much more practical than trying to draw freehand and ending up with a figure that looks more like a potato than a circle. It's interesting how certain things are right in front of our eyes, but we only realize their true purpose when someone tells us, right? And speaking of hidden details, did you know that your iPhone has an extra microphone that improves your recordings without you even realizing it? Well, the way it works can completely change the quality of your audio. If you've ever recorded a video with your iPhone's rear-facing camera and noticed that the audio came out surprisingly clear, there's a reason. There's an extra microphone hidden right there, right next to the lens. It's not there by accident. In fact, it's an essential piece of equipment for capturing sound more clearly and reducing unwanted noise. This means that even in noisy environments, like a busy street or a concert, your iPhone can filter out much of the background noise and bring out your voice or the main sound in the recording. This microphone works in conjunction with the other microphones on your device to enhance speakerphone calls, video recordings, and even voice commands to Siri. If you're a social media creator, interviewer, or just want better audio quality in your videos, you know this little detail can make all the difference. And if you want to take the sound even further, you can use an app like GarageBand or Dolby On to fine-tune your capture and make it sound more professional. Funny, right? Technology often hides little surprises that improve our daily lives without us even realizing it. And speaking of little tricks that go unnoticed, have you ever stopped to think about the correct way to take a Tic Tac out of the box? Yes, there is a right way, and it prevents you from taking more candy than you intended. Have you ever opened a box of Tic Tacs and instead of taking out a single candy, you ended up dumping out 3 or 4 at once? Well, it happens to everyone. But here's a fun fact that few people know. There is a right way to take a Tic Tac out of the package without overdoing it. If you look at the inside of the lid, you'll see a small dimpled opening. It's not there by chance. This detail was designed to hold exactly one candy when the box is tilted gently. The trick is simple. Instead of turning the package over and dumping the Tic Tacs directly into your hand, simply tilt it slightly and slowly open the lid. The candy will fit perfectly in the holder, ready to be removed without waste. In addition to preventing more candy from coming out than necessary, this technique keeps the rest of the contents neatly stored, without accidentally falling out. It may seem silly, but once you learn how, you'll never look at the box the same way again. It's funny how some products have ingenious details that go unnoticed, isn't it? And speaking of which, have you ever noticed the metal tip of a tape measure? That little piece of metal has a much more useful function than just protecting the tape. If you've ever used a tape measure, you've probably noticed that the metal tip seems like a simple detail, but it actually hides a brilliant trick. That little piece of metal has a small opening in it for a purpose, and it serves 2 main functions. First, the opening allows for more accurate measurements, as it compensates for the thickness of the metal itself, depending on whether you're measuring from the inside or outside of an object. In other words, if you're measuring something against a wall, the metal adjusts to make the measurement exactly right. But the second function is even more interesting. Did you notice that this tip has a small hole in it? This is used to fit nails or screws and to hold the tape in place while you measure. This makes life easier for those who need to measure alone, without needing someone else to hold the end of the tape. Additionally, the serrated edge of this metal piece can be used to mark surfaces without needing a pencil. Simply press it against wood or drywall, and it will make a slight mark to indicate where to cut or drill. Small details like this show that many everyday objects are smarter than they seem at first glance. And how many of these unknown things have you used without realizing their real usefulness? The strangest thing is that we live with these little mysteries all the time and don't even realize it. So, how many of these unknown things have you used incorrectly without even realizing it? The funny thing is, once you learn how to do them, you can never ignore them again. Now, every time you pick up a shopping cart, open a box of Tic Tacs or hold a ruler, you'll remember these little secret functions that were right under your nose the whole time. But here's a challenge. How many other everyday things still have secrets that you've never stopped to question? The world is full of hidden details waiting to be discovered, and only those who pay attention get ahead. So, How about starting to look at everything around you with different eyes? If you like these revelations and want to continue learning tricks that will make your life easier, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There are many more surprising things to come.